Alright, what is up YouTube? It is Psychedelic Scizor, and I'm here with my draft breakdown for a little cup league that I joined. Well, to kind of make up for me leaving the EBA and for the UCL dying. Unfortunately, I was really upset about that. I really liked that draft. I thought I could have gone really far with that one, but oh well. To kind of make up for that and still have a little more fun in my life, bunch of the people in those leagues, we got together and we made a fun little cup league. Just for the hell of it. Just it's more fun. It's more casual. And while I said, yeah, I don't have time for multiple competitive leagues, this is will certainly be trying to win. It's not nearly as competitive. It's not as time consuming, and I'm gonna have fun with this. And I kind of put my draft around that. And so the first mon that I picked up was Vullaby. Volby gives me a big two-way threat here. It is a very good defensive mon in the tier. Has Roost, Defog, U-turn, knockoff, really good utility, and it's nice and bulky. Only a couple not as common weaknesses. Rock, Fairy, Ice, Electric. Very good defensive mon though. It has a bunch of good abilities and big pecs, very niche, but it's there. Primarily abilities we're using is Overcoat, immunity to powder moves like Spore, and damage from Sandstorm or Hail, so weather teams can't wear me down. And this is the second part of Vullaby, Weak Armor. Um, Weak Armor got a buff this gen, because whenever physical attack hits this Pokemon, its defense is lowered by 1, and its speed is raised by 2. This mon is bulky enough to take a hit, and then it gets a +2 speed whenever it does, and this mon gets Nasty Plot, so it can function as a physical attacker pretty well. It's got Brave Bird knockoff, but also the Nasty Plot set is pretty deadly because it's got access to the dual stabs of Air Slash and Dark Pulse, along with Heat Wave for some nice coverage. It's also got Shadow Ball and a couple other utility moves. Generally speaking, Whirlwind is nice, Taunt is nice, Tailwind. It's got a lot of utility options. It's one of the best in Little Cup right now. It was a good first round pick for me. And then to patch up a lot of the weaknesses, my next pick was Slowpoke. This gives me a really reliable wall because besides it's got bulky stats. 90 base HP is really high for Little Cup. Most mons can't fully invest to get their HP up to 25. But it's also got Regenerator, which is the biggest thing going for it. It functions basically like Slowbro does in OU. It's fat, it takes a hit, it'll switch out. This gives me another two-way threat in being a wall or being a setup sweeper with Calm Mind or Trick Room. Also, its stats are more evened out. It actually has higher attack than special attack. So a physical offensive Slowpoke with Aqua Tail and Zen Headbutt is definitely a possibility. Also gets good special coverage. It's got Flamethrower, Ice Beam, it's got its stabs, Shadow Ball's nice, Signal Beam is nice. Reliable recovery, in addition to just Regenerator and Yellow Magic down here. Um, it's a really good mon. It's a nice blanket check, but it's not subpar at what it does. It's very good at just being I can kind of throw this on the team most weeks and it will check most offensive threats. Um, Next, I had focused kind of on defense. We'll have some setup sweepers. I didn't really have offense, so I also didn't have hazards. So my next pick is Dwebble. Dwebble is very good at two things. It can hazard stack, it has access to Stealth Rock and Spikes, and with Sturdy, it can get those up very easily. And it also uses Sturdy for another thing that it does, and it Shell Smashes and sweeps teams. It is a very, very good sweeper. I'm looking at the drafts. Most teams just don't handle it well. They have one or two things that can kind of handle it, but I just need to weaken those. Just hazard stack a little bit, which I've prepped for later in the draft. And once they're weakened, yeah, Dwebble cleans up a lot of teams. And with Sturdy and the decent physical defense it has, it can usually find a chance to set up. It's got some common weaknesses, but it's also got quite a few resistances. It's kind of nice that Bug cancels out Rock's weakness to ground. Um, The coverage is kind of mixed. Overall good though, I would say. It's got its dual stabs of rock and bug, but it's also got coverage in earthquake. Facade is an interesting option. It's got knockoff. It's got poison jab, and yeah, that's about it though. If it's technically got aerial ace, but a stab stone edge is going to pretty much always do more. And I can't really think of off the top of my head a mon that would be weak to flying but resistant to rock. That might be kind of niche, but it's got good enough coverage. It's very good at what it does, which is something that's always good in Draft League. Yes, you want versatility, but you want it to be able to do something with versatility. You don't want just something that's mediocre at everything, you know? Um, Next, you'll notice that I really don't have an electric resist at all. Electric types rip through me. Really nice electric resist that I got and kind of completes my initial wall core at least was Lileep. Lileep is extremely fat. It is extremely fat with Violite. Also provides me with another water immunity, which is nice for Dwebble, because Slowpoke resists it, but a water immunity is nice. Even boosts the special attack. It's not just water absorb. Storm Drain is definitely superior. It's not as offensively threatening. Its coverage is kind of meh outside of its stabs, but it can wear things down with toxic, very reliable recovery in both synthesis and recover. Um, and it also, if I really wanted to do that, it does get stockpile. So, stockpile is definitely an option. You know, it can stall out some mons. And so while the coverage is meh, it's just so fat. It's also another stealth rocker, which is actually big for me. Because Dwebble, yes, it gets stealth rocks, but a big thing with me, especially with hazards and hazard removal, I want to have multiple of them because I don't want to confine them on to having to be like I don't want to, even if Dwebble is a good matchup, I don't want to force it to bring Stealth Rocks just because I need rocks. You know, I want other options. I never want to feel like I'm backed into a corner like, well, this Mon has to do it, even though it doesn't have a good matchup otherwise just because it has rocks. So I've got a pretty good first four picks. I've also got a very fat first four picks, but not in the same sense of the EBA. I kind of mentioned I was kind of dissatisfied, or not happy. I couldn't pick which one, so I made them both. Um, I wasn't really happy with it because I feel like it was kind of passive. I have actually, at the time of recording this, I have already done team building through week 3 and started on week 4, so I'm kind of familiar with how my team matches up, at least in theory. I haven't played any matches yet. Little Cup is kind of fast to build for. But these are not mons that I at all feel are passive. You know, if I wanted to, Nasty Plot Vullaby is far from passive. That thing, I mean, even without Nasty Plot, knockoff user, good knockoff user is very helpful because of the amount of Violite running around in Little Cup. Slowpoke, you know, I always feel like, you know, Calm Mind is an option, and it has enough coverage and just enough attack to like not make it totally set up fodder, you know. Plus, it's so fat you like really need to set up to overwhelm it. It's hard to overwhelm a mon, especially with Regenerator. Um, Dwebble is, well, that's never passive, like, period. You always fear the Shell Smash even if it doesn't have it. The Leap is my only real passive mon, and you know what? Every draft to have it, and this is definitely my fattest mon I've got. Yeah, it's definitely bulkier than Slowpoke. Maybe not on the physical side because of the HP, but on the special side it definitely is. And so next, I wanted, while I mentioned I have some offensive presence there, I don't have any straight offensive mons, and I don't have speed either. Fire types are good. I have missed those in the past. I kind of haven't really been as big on other people as drafting them, and then I regret it every time. So I drafted one fairly early, and I grabbed Magby. Not the most popular fire type in Little Cup meta, but this thing is actually better, I'd say, in Draft League. Look at its stats. This doesn't mean a lot to people who aren't really familiar with Little Cup, but the speed tiers are a lot more important because speed, as you see with the EVs here, increases very slowly. So every one stat that can gain is actually really important. So speed tiers are important. Um, and the bigger thing being like, say, a base 65 and a base 70 mon. I don't know if this is exactly true, but this is just an example. Even though it's a 5 like base stat speed difference, they probably will have the same speed like overall, just because they haven't leveled up enough to make it actually different. So that's why speed tiers are important here. And no, not minus, plus. Yeah, I'll just go minus. At absolute max speed, this thing hits base 19, or not base, but it hits 19 speed, which is a very, very good speed tier. There is only a very tiny handful of mons that outspeed 19, and not a lot reach it in the first place. I think only mons like Voltorb, Diglett, Elekid, I think only those can get past 19. I'm not even 100% sure about Elekid, although I'm fairly sure. Very important speed tier, but it was more than just that. Two decent abilities, or at least usable abilities. You don't really want Magby to be taking hits, it's not very bulky. Then again, Violet can make everything bulky here. Big thing with Magby that I enjoyed is it is not one of those mons that you just, oh, it's got physical moves and special moves and not total ass of its non, like, offensive stat. Like, it's very viably able to run both physical and special sets. Very viable. And while it doesn't have a lot of coverage, it doesn't necessarily need it. It has just enough where it needs. Psychic on the special set is nice. Also, with utility, Will-O-Wisp is nice. Thunder Punch is a nice little physical set. It also can use Belly Drum, which is really scary. It's extremely scary for other teams because you already have one of the fastest mons in Little Cup. If you let that thing set up, this thing get the max attack, and if it's ×4, that gets your IVs all the way up there. This thing is going to reach 64 attack if you maximize this. That is absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd. Nothing's going to take that. So Magby is definitely a good potential setup sweeper, or just generally fast mon, you know? I really like it. Oh yeah, I forgot I have nicknames for these guys. I actually have them for once. We got DJ Khaled, the kind of pudgy looking Vullaby, but overall pretty swaggin' dude. Don't try to get me to say swaggin' much. I felt uncomfortable saying that and regret said decision, but I take it back. I don't regret it. I just will not commonly use it. This dude is swaggin'. Even though it's a female. She's swaggin'. Then we have Pink Floyd. Not Ink Floyd. Pink Floyd. The Slowpoke. Pink Floyd is probably my favorite band, or at least it's in top 3. I love Pink Floyd. Very good. So this is very much an honor to be named after them. And with Dwebble, we've got Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I just think it's so funny naming him Dwayne Johnson because he's so tiny, but he's so mighty. Lileep, we've got Mind Freak. Because think about this. This is a freaky looking thing. This isn't like super tiny. I know this, I forget the exact size, but it's at least a couple feet tall. This thing's horrifying. I mean, look at it. It's going to steal your soul. And Magby, I was slightly less creative on this. Magboy. But still a great mon. Alright, I'll make sure to get the nicknames in here before. So, next, rounding out the first half of our draft is... This is a mod I planned on drafting the whole time. I just waited on it because I knew he wasn't as sought after. And this is kind of where the team starts to take its shape. And this is Alolan Sandshrew. It provides me with a second hazard remover. I've got Defog on Vullaby, and I've got Rapid Spin on Alolan Sandshrew. I've also got a Hail Sweeper. which you will see later. I drive Hail, although I won't tell you which, because there's a couple Hail setters. Slush Rush is a good ability, although Snow Cloak is also very useful, especially on defensive sets. These dual stabs rip through a lot of things other than opposing steel types, and I've got Earthquake and Brick Break for those. Icicle Spear is nice for breaking sashes or sturdies or berry juices, stuff like that. It's got surprisingly good coverage. You see Leech Life, Night Slash, Poison Jab. You see Rock Slide and Shadow Claw and X Scissor. This thing could also Swords Dance, which is really nice. Under Hail, if this thing sets up a Swords Dance, this is deadly. And I will actually say now, we did like a lot of leagues are doing right now, and I had to designate one Mon as our Z move Mon. And I designated Alolan Sandshrew as my Z move Mon. Just because it does get a lot of coverage, so it has a lot of potential for Z moves. It can break through Mons. There's also some interesting Z moves it gets. It can run Z Hail or Z Aurora Veil, both of which just add +1 to its speed. Z Hail would be nice because it would use Slush Rush, and even if Hail wears out, I can still have a +1 speed. It is absolutely unusable special attack, and its speed is fairly low otherwise, although this is where speed tiers are important. There's not as much of a difference between fast Mons and slow Mons. Like a +1 here will still get me to 18 speed, which is fairly good. It's going to outspeed a lot of Mons. Like, very rarely will you outspeed that. And so those are my first 6 picks. Oh, Sandshrew is nicknamed... What are you nicknamed? Huh. Oh, duh. Chill Bill. Chill Bill the Alolan Sandshrew. I really enjoy this Mon. It's an offensive threat. It's also, despite having 2 quad weaknesses, it does have good physical bulk. And other than those 2 quad weaknesses, it only has the other weakness to Earthquake, and that's it. So it does have a good amount of resistances, so I can abuse those in Rapid Spin on a lot of things. And I'm just going to delete the mons in here and put new ones in here because I already have teams built in this folder, and I don't want you guys seeing those mons. So for my next 6, I'm just going to put them in here. Because I've almost made the mistake during a battle of putting my teams in my team builder in the video for everyone in my league to see, and that was almost extremely bad. Alright, next is kind of a returning face, the kid of a returning face, Venipede, which is still too fast, in reference to my Scolipede. Still, that is not how you spell. I'm an engineer, not an English major. This is very familiar to those of you who've seen my past leagues where I've drafted Scolipede and used it extremely well. I love that Mon. Although I did and didn't realize how different that Venipede was going to be than Scolipede. It still has speed boost, and I know it doesn't get baton pass, so I can't speed pass. But I drafted Venipede to get me more forms of Hazard Stack. It gets spikes and toxic spikes. One thing I kind of didn't realize, though, unfortunately, when drafting it, is it really, all the great coverage that Scolipede has, Venipede doesn't have it. Venipede doesn't have Aqua Tail, doesn't have Earthquake, it doesn't have Rock Slide. It doesn't have Mega Horn either. It's got, its strongest bug move is either Pin Missile, depending on your roll, or Steamroller, which is base 65. Still, it's got a strong Poison Jab, it can Pursuit, and it can Spike Stack. It is a surprisingly good fighting check, just in the sense that it quad resists it, and again, Eviolate can make even these stats bulky if you invest in it. So, it is still a good Mon, I'm just using it differently than I expected. This thing can still clean up late game, because again, its Poison Jab does hit hard. It just, unlike Scolipede in the past that I've used, it just doesn't get... Like, still has a support moves like Endeavor, but it doesn't get ways to break, like, things that resist its dual stabs, which is something that made Scolipede so good. It also doesn't get Swords Dance. I'm still not like dissatisfied with this pick at all. It's good. It's just not as valuable as I expected it to be, which kind of made sense why it fell to me this late. Um, and the next Mon is my Hailmon, Amora. Now, I wanted this because I had two other options for hail setting. I had Alolan Vulpix and I had Snover. I already had a grass type for Snover, and also Snover has so many weaknesses. I don't know. I wasn't really feeling it. The main thing being, though, I already had a grass type, and it just kind of compounded a couple more weaknesses. Um, and Alolan Vulpix, it just doesn't really have impressive stats or versatility. It sets up Aurora Veil, and that's kind of what it does. It doesn't hit super hard. It's not fairy type, so it doesn't have that stab. It's just not good. Amora has two incredible abilities. Snow Warning, if I want to use Hail, so I can do Snow Warning Blizzard to hit hard, or I can use Refrigerate and Hyper Voice, and that thing still hits hard. Basically, I wanted a Mon that wasn't just a Hail setter. That's basically how I felt like Alolan Vulpix, and to a lesser extent, um, Snover would be. They would be my Hail setters, and that's it. Amora can set Hail, but it is not just a Hail setter. Amora gets incredible coverage on both sides, probably the best in my draft. It's got its dual stabs, bunch of ice moves, ancient power, but also gets moves like Dark Pulse, Discharge, and Thunderbolt. Earth power is some of the best coverage you can give them on. Flash Cannon is there, hidden power of choice. Even Water Pulse, Mirror Code is also nice. Technically, this is another stealth rocker. It's got a bunch of weaknesses, so it might not be the best stealth rocker, but it is certainly there, and I can see it working as the unoffensive rocker that just scares things out. Even on the physical side, it gets good coverage. Both attacks are usable, although special is better. Yeah, better water coverage there. Aqua Tail, Avalanche Bulldoze, Dragon Tail. Facade is a nice move to have. I enjoy that. Steel coverage there. It's got Outrage. There are a lot of things that get Outrage that you would be surprised about. That it just doesn't make sense. Even Zen Headbutt and Stone Edge. So Amora is a really good Mon. It's not very fast, but it is kind of tanky with its stats, especially with a Violite. It is an effective choice user, offensive Mon, and it is bulky enough to set up the Hail. It is a good Hail setter. It's the best one in LC, in my opinion, because of the fact that it is not just a Hail setter. That it can do a lot of things outside of it. I forget, it also gets some good support moves. This thing can Calm Mind up if I wanted to, if I have a certain matchup. This thing can Haze, which is really nice, because setup, as you're seeing, my team is starting to develop more offense, even with how fat it started out. It's starting to develop more offense, and one of the biggest ways to counter offense is with another offense team and just get a Mon that sets up and sweeps through it. Basically, hyper offense. That's the difference there. Offense is just a bunch of, fast offensive Mons. Hyper offense isn't just really offensive Mons. Hyper offense is with setup. Just so we're aware. The more you know. Also, dual screens. I forgot they got Reflect. I knew it got Light Screen. Rest for recovery. Oh yeah, this thing also sets up with Rock Polish, so that makes up for its really subpar speed. And I mentioned rocks. Thunderwave too. This is a really versatile Mon. And especially seeing as I got this 8th pick, just the very end of the second, third of the draft, basically near the bottom. I'm really happy with this. I have really enjoyed this Mon. Oh yeah, this Mon is called Littlefoot. Land Before Time, anyone? If not, you are too young. You are too young. And the next Mon that I drafted, I got sniped from who? I didn't get sniped a whole lot this draft. I got sniped once because I was going to draft Foongus instead of Lileep, and that was drafted like 3 or 4 picks before mine was. And I got sniped of something here. It's been like a week since the draft, or at least a couple days, so I can't remember exactly what. But I'm still fairly happy with this pick. I picked up Duskull. Now Duskull, very weak offensively. It puts in very little offensive pressure. However, it is a nice ground immunity that I have. My team has some ways to take on ground types. Vullaby is immune. Slowpoke is just kind of tanky enough to take it, and Lileep resists it, or it's neutral to it. But I have, and Dwebble is actually. But Magby, Alolan Sandshrew, and Amora are all weak to Earthquake, so another ground resist is always nice. The reason I drafted Duskull is just the HP is very low, but as you see, low stats don't make as much of a difference in Little Cup. This thing isn't super far off of other mons, but it is incredible defenses, and when these are boosted by a Violite, I basically drafted Duskull because it is so fat that even if it doesn't do a ton back, well, it's got a bunch of utility moves, so it can do stuff back. But even if it doesn't have a whole lot that it can do, like just Oko something back, it can take a hit from anything unless it's really boosted up. Another fighting check is actually nice. That's what I was getting at. Slowpoke resists fighting, Vullaby is neutral, but I so far have 4 other fighting weaknesses. I have Dwebble, Lileep, Alolan Sandshrew, and Amora that are all fighting weak. So another fighting resist here is nice. It does get a bunch of utility. It can set up with Calm Mind, which with how fat this is, it can get away with. Destiny Bond is good. Disable. Hex, paired with one of the big reasons I drafted it, is a very reliable Will-O-Wisper. Can taunt, but it's slow. Shadow Sneak, it's priority. It can pick things off. Pain Split is its way of recovery, which is not the best, but then again, it's certainly better than Rest. And Confuse Ray is also nice, 100% accurate. This thing doesn't get swagger, does it? Yes, it does. Ooh, boy. Maybe. But basically, this thing is just mostly around here to just be extremely fat and use one of its various utility moves to just whittle down the opponent and do something. Because I can prep for a smaller amount of mines, I can make this thing not totally passive and do things, which is important. And it's just fat and eats hits. There's really not a lot to say about Duskull. Although I did name this... I should have remembered the names before I deleted these and put these back up. Shit. I had a name for this. I named him Grim, I think. That was either my initial name that I changed or I kept it. But he's Grim for now. I apologize, Grim. I apologize. But my next pick, getting in the last quarter of the draft, this was extremely close. I'm surprised that it didn't get taken way earlier because it's really good. Like, it's really good. And that is Trapinch. Someone drafted Diglett really early in the draft because it's a really good trapper. I got value pick here. I got the value menu item. Trapinch has the same base attack as Dugtrio, so it traps offensively just as well as Dugtrio does. It's got Arena Trap, Hypercutter is maybe nice for an offensive set, so is Sheer Force, so these are all usable abilities, first off. Trapinch, like I said, it is so strong with its attack that it doesn't have to be a trapper. I could potentially use it offensively, although the bulk leaves something to be desired. Again, a Violite is a thing, so nothing is totally a glass cannon if you don't want it to be. It does primarily earthquake things, but it can also crunch things. It can also superpower things, rock slide things, quick attack things, even if they have a focus sash or sturdy or something like that. And that's kind of what it does. It doesn't do a whole lot outside of that, but that coverage is really it's all it needs. It also has fissure in case I want to be a troll one week. Maybe someone has a no guard mon. I can use that against it. That'd be funny as hell. That'd really be funny. So, I love this pick. This guy is Jaws. Oh, this is not what I named Grim, but I don't care. Whatever name I had before was much worse than this. Danny Phantom. There we go. I made an improvement. Yeah. Trapinch can either be run usually bulky Trapper, just so you can't OHKO it, or if it's a slower mon, they can still hit you hard. Sometimes running speed or like a choice scarf or something helps, but usually the bulky Trapper is the more common option. Pure ground type is not a bad type. It doesn't have a whole lot of weaknesses. And this is a mon that if I was near the end of the wheel, like I was the second pick, so when it was coming back up to us, I got a pick, the person above me got two, and then I got one more. If I waited to get this pick on the second wheel instead of the first, I would not have gotten it because he wanted it too. And I got the last available Sticky Webber in Sewaddle. Soaddle. Tree Hugger, the Sewaddle. It doesn't have the best abilities, although one that is very nice that I didn't really get to point out before is I now have two Overcoat Mons, which are very helpful for, me having hail. So Vullaby isn't hurt by hail, and now Sewaddle isn't either. This thing's primarily a Sticky Webber, or at least that's how it's viewed, but it has plenty of options. Offensively, even though it is a better physical attack than a special attack, it sets up a little better. It has agility and calm mind. It has better coverage on the special side with Bug Buzz and Energy Ball for stabs, Giga Drain for some recovery. What am I talking about? Coverage. It just has stronger stabs and hidden power of choice. I didn't even realize this until after I drafted it, though, and I was extremely, extremely glad that I did realize this. I think it's Baton Pass. I think it's agility. This thing can pass agilities. This thing can pass calm minds. You don't get like a sword stance or something like that, or a bulk up. Yeah, you're a caterpillar. You don't bulk up. That said, still, agility passes or calm mind passes are huge for my team. There are plenty of bonds, especially having light screen also could be nice. It's a really good support mon, and just big thing I noticed and that I really enjoy about having this is even if I never bring sticky webs, it forces prep for sticky webs because it is one of those game-changing factors that if you don't prep for it, you can get just swept from it. So I'm really glad I got this. It's not too frail either. It's got a terrible defensive typing, but as more just on general on the ladder, it does have some specific resistances that are nice. It takes on ground types fairly well. And with that bulk, it can take some hits. And my final pick of the draft, which really was not bad for the last pick of the draft at all. If you've seen me play before, you know I really enjoy Volt Turn offense. It's how I play on the ladder. It's how I play in League. It is very much my comfort zone and my skill. And I only have Turn, and I only have one Turner, and that is Vullaby. I want something that's a little more reliable of a turner. Not that Vullaby isn't, but I want something so that I won't have to be forced to use Vullaby as my turner. And that mon that I'm surprised I got so late was Helioptile, which is the plug. A water immunity, another one, is really nice because with all the rock types I have stacked up right now, I have a couple of water weaknesses. I'm counting Dwebble, um, and Trapinch. Actually, I kind of defeated my point there. Still, no team like Scalds. So, oh, and Amora. So I've got three water weaknesses. Four. Okay. Still, any immunity is nice, and Helioptile gives me a couple of them. Also, if someone wants to bring Sun, I can use that with Solar Power or even Sand. This thing is it's got a decent speed tier. It hits 17 speed. I would have loved something that hit 18, but everyone was at the very end panicking to get fast volt switchers, and I kind of had to get what's left. Helioptile is very good though. Glare is a great support move. It also gets light screen. It's a volt switcher, primarily why I drafted it. Phasing with Dragon Tail, and it's got some good coverage, or good enough like for what it needs. By the way, it can also U-turn in case there's a really prevalent ground type that I can't beat. But I don't usually have to worry about ground type switching in because this thing also gets Surf, which is very powerful coverage. Thunderbolt is always strong. Yellow Magic is always nice. Hidden powers of choice. Grass Knot also for grounds. That's really good coverage because electric, like, there's so little that resists it. You only need a couple of things. Iron Tail is also nice. Low Sweep is there, I guess. It's potentially usable. Oh, hello. I didn't know you got this. I didn't know what this does. Interesting. Nice. Covers 50% of the damage dealt. 65 base power. It's not bad. It's not bad. Okay. I did kind of ramble about this draft, but I wanted to really give my thoughts on it. I feel like this was different because my other drafts, I just finished the draft and I didn't start to build with them yet, so I didn't really know how they worked. I kind of thought on paper, but clearly Pokemon is not a game on paper. Um, it's online, and even more specific than that, it is more about how you play and how you build. And now that I've gotten a chance to build for this, I really feel like I know how this team works very well. It functions. It has multiple modes, which is very nice. This can be a fat team that just takes hits and stalls opponents out if I need it, because I have the reliable recovery and resistances to do that. But I also certainly have the capabilities of shutting down or keeping up with offense. You'll notice I also have a bunch of slow mons. That is why Sticky Web was so important for me to get. And it's why I kind of mentioned the offensive sets on Trapinch. 100 base attack is not seen in Little Cup at all. If I can get Sticky Webs up and get this thing attacking, or like a Specs or Banded Amora, or anything like that, my team does appreciate speed control quite a bit. Also, forgot to mention, Slowpoke gets Trick Room, so I even have that option. This is a good draft for something that I was kind of just. I certainly planned it out and took it seriously-ish, but for something I'm kind of trying to have fun, I'm really excited for this league. Not just because I'm gonna have fun with it, because I think I'm gonna do really well in this league. I think I have a good draft. I just need to watch out for Zeden's draft because he is almost consensus the best draft in the league. Let's look this over. Just how are we doing on time? Okay, we're at 38 minutes. All right, it's you know what, it's about to hit 40 anyway. What's it gonna matter if I actually hit 40? So he is down here. He's got Ponyta, one of the highest base stats in the game, or in the Little Cup game. So it actually is offensively extremely fast and hits very hard. I think it hits 19 speed. I don't think it hits 20. It's possible, but I don't think it does. Bulky and powerful, one of the better mons. Diglett, that is always a bitch to prep for. Spritzy and Fungus are an incredible defensive core. They're very fat. Stuffle, great bulky attacker. In case you weren't familiar with that, like I wasn't, that's the pre-Evo to Beware. Archin is another really fast, really hard-hitting mon. Squirtle's a nice value pick for Defogger, or not Defogger, Rapid Spinner, Hazard Control, and Natu having Magic Bounce also helps. This is the Weber that I initially wanted, that I kind of got sniped for earlier. I really wanted Surskit, because I could pivot out with Baton Pass, had some kind of offensive pressure, not a lot, but some, and it was a better sticky Weber in my opinion. And I don't know how the hell he got Buttlebee, his third last pick, but or how he got any of these, honestly. Buttlebee, it's a Z move mon, it's great coverage. It hits so hard. Like, you just can't prep for Buttlebee defensively. Like, you can have kind of answer, and you just need to like try to offensively overwhelm it. But look at the speedy outs on this team and these bulky mons. You can't like offensively overwhelm this team. Hone Edge, very bulky, can set up, and Trubbish. Trubbish is it is good in certain matchups. Toxic spikes are nice. Poison coverage is nice. Alright, that was a very long video. Probably the longest video I've ever done. 40 minutes, 40 seconds at the moment of me saying this. Alright, well, I have taken up enough of your time. I'm gonna get out of here and see you guys later. If you like what you saw, or anything else that you've seen here, make sure you like, subscribe, share, do your thing, do whatever it is you do with YouTube videos, you know? I don't care, just as long as it's not hit the dislike button. Because if you hit the dislike, fuck you. Alright, I will see you guys later, and get on out of here.